What's up, you guys? Teddy Striker here, and in this video I want to talk about Glory Kickboxing and how this sport can become much bigger than it is, and one of the top 3 combat sports in the world. Right now I feel like boxing is still number 1. I feel like MMA is number 2, but then there's not really like anything going on with Muay Thai or kickboxing. But Glory Kickboxing has some incredible fights, and in my opinion, if you just look at what's happening in the ring or in the cage, no promotion, no characters, no faces, if you just watch it, it's probably the most exciting combat sports out there. It's got 3-minute rounds, just like in boxing, and the thing is, it's only got 5 rounds like in MMA, so it's 3 5-minute rounds, so it's got the fast-paced action of the rounds in boxing, but it's not as long as a 12-round drag-out fight in boxing, like a 36-minute fight, where the pace could slow down a bit, and it's much higher pace than MMA, because in MMA there's a lot of clinching and stalling moments on the ground sometimes too. But here it's just non-stop action. It's 3 minutes and 5 rounds, so it's gonna be high pace. There's no real time to kind of test out the waters. You kind of got to go right away because it goes by really fast, and that just leads to a whole bunch of exchanges, which makes the fights more exciting. But the problem with Glory Kickboxing is that, it's kind of hard to watch it because the promotion really isn't there. There's some aspects missing that could take this to the next level and make it one of the biggest combat sports out there. And it's there was a kickboxing match, I think, last Saturday, but I had no idea it was happening, and I didn't know where to watch it. So now I want to talk about what I think Glory Kickboxing could do to grow this sport and make it into one of, if not the biggest combat sport out there. And the first thing I think that Glory Kickboxing needs is, I think their first step is to find a committed promoter, because a promoter is going to be able to sell the people the fights, give them stories going into it, because people love stories. People like to know what's going on. They don't want to just tune in to see the fights. They gotta have some interest before they see the fight, and adding on to the fight is just the cherry on top. But you need the story first to make us care. Why should we watch this? So you need to find someone with great communication skills, and also someone who is gonna be able to risk it and not be afraid to fail. Maybe you could find someone that's rich, but we've seen a guy like Tony Khan run AEW, and it's not going the best for him. He's like a billionaire, but he hasn't just quite figured out the formula for AEW, and their ratings are getting lower and lower. It's just not going too well for them. So you need a guy who's gonna be able to sell these fighters and promote them in an exciting way that's gonna make us care about the fights.
And I'm telling you now, he beats everyone in the division. And people now listening to me, they used to listen to me and go, oh, you know it. You know AJ's the best heavyweight in the world. He is back, baby. He's got all the tools now, the defense, the footwork, the power.
Even if it isn't true, it gives us interest and it makes us care. Now, the next thing that Glory Kickboxing needs to do is, now, a lot of fighters in Glory, they're not really too outspoken, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's just that's what they are, right? It's okay, as long as they bring action in the cage, in the ring, and they always do. I don't have a problem with it, but that's where the promotion has to step up and start investing in pre-fight build-up. The UFC does a great job of this with their countdown show, showing us what the fighters do in their everyday lives, kind of telling us about them and telling us what the fighters can't really tell us about themselves because they're focused on their fight. Same thing with boxing. They do a great job of this whenever they do their all access shows. It's very entertaining, and it just builds that extra level of hype. And when you see something that's high quality, you're naturally gonna be interested in it, and you're naturally gonna want to look at it and be invested in it. Also, Glory Kickboxing already has stars. They've had stars like Israel Adesanya. Look at him. He's a massive star now. They just couldn't really promote him right. They had Alex Pereira. This guy was a promoter's dream, knocking people out in devastating fashion. He's a likable guy. You see him now in the UFC. He's one of the biggest stars. You also had Cedric Doumbé. Look at him in the PFL. He's like selling out shows in like an hour, or like massive shows with like 25,000 people. Like, he's a massive star. Like, it doesn't matter who he fights. People are just gonna tune in because he is just like he's a star. He's just got that star potential. But in Glory, they weren't able to get these characters across because of their lack of promotion, in my opinion. But the next thing that I think Glory needs is... Now, I tried to watch the Glory Kickboxing fight a while ago, and I saw that it was on this streaming service called Bally. And I was confused. I was like, I've never heard of this before. And I'm sure a lot of you guys haven't heard of this streaming service as well. And I feel like this is also a bit part of the problem. I think that Glory should try to look for something a bit more mainstream and a bit more easily accessible to most fans around the world. There are several options out there. There's ESPN, there's DAZN, now there's Amazon Prime. There's also Hulu now that does shows for the WWE. There's also Netflix, who just basically they're starting out now to do shows. Like, they're gonna host Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul, and then in 2025 they're gonna start doing WWE Monday Night Raw. And a lot of these streaming services are very well known to most fans. That's how they purchase pay-per-views for other combat sports. And I think that this would help them get their fights out there and make people know about these fights, and just tune in a lot easier. The next thing that Glory Kickboxing is going to need to do is... Now, Glory Kickboxing does a great job of, going around the world for their shows, because they've got international fighters. They've got fighters from Suriname, Morocco, Ghana, the Netherlands, France. Like, they've got fighters from all over the world. But I think they should start targeting an American audience, because there's a lot of American fans out there for boxing, for MMA. And also, these fans are going to help you fill out arena shows, like with maybe 15,000 people in attendance, numbers like those, and get real traction for your brand. So I think that targeting an American audience will be great for the growth of Glory, based on how other combat sports are growing and how well they're doing in the American market. The last thing I have for Glory Kickboxing to grow is... Now, this is important for various reasons. First of all, it can help your fans know about your entire roster, because now you got people who are going to be playing and using these fighters, and they're going to get to know them. Maybe they won't see them fight, but they'll know them through the game. And then whenever they see a big Glory Kickboxing card, they'll recognize some names on there, and they'll be more enticed to tune in and maybe purchase a pay-per-view. Also, studies have shown that when people play a certain sports video game, it teaches them about the rules, it helps them gain knowledge about the sport, the athletes in there, and it builds a real connection with the sport, and it makes people want to tune into the actual sport because they're having fun playing the game. And also, if you have a game, this is something that is global, and it can also bring you some revenue, which can lead you to put higher production value, or invest in maybe giving out more money to your fighters, or just building a training facility like the UFC Apex, or just a whole bunch of things. And yeah, it's just extra revenue, and it'd be great for the sport. Also, they could add a showcase mode like they do in WWE games, where you have a kickboxing legend, like let's say Ernesto Hooft. He goes out there and he kind of narrates his career, and then you get some cutscenes of his actual fights mixed in with some objectives that you have to do to kind of recreate what the real life fight was like, just like they do in WWE games. It can also educate people about kickboxing legends, get more fans and get more eyes, and just have people create that greater connection with the sport. So yeah, that's all I've got for what Glory Kickboxing can do to grow as an organization, and obviously they need to do a lot more. I'm not really too knowledge in this sort of field. I just come out here and gave a quick opinion about what I think Glory can do to grow, learning from what the UFC sort of did and what boxing kind of did, WWE as well. because I'm a fan of Glory, but there are some problems with knowing when and where to watch it, as well as not really knowing the fighters too well. But I've been trying to learn about these guys. It's a great sport. Any fight that you watch on their YouTube channel is always exciting, and they definitely just have the potential. It's just they're missing that one step, and yeah, I hope that maybe in the coming years, Glory can figure something out, because I heard that like a couple years ago there was potentially some rumors of them going bankrupt. I'm not sure how true that was. It's a great sport, and also a lot of fighters, like Cedric Doumbé, Adesanya, maybe a Pereira, like some of these guys, they potentially don't get paid enough, and doing some of these things could help them find that revenue and just keep the sport alive. But let me know what you guys think about this.